I'm about 3 miles south of Rileyville, Virginia, and this is Route 611. And there's my little red car parked there. There's no parking lot here. This is just before you get to this bridge, which goes over Jeremy's Run. I'm gonna hike up this trail here into the Shenandoah Park, which is right next to Jeremy's Run. We're gonna hike this. This is private property here, so you just stay on the trail. And we'll eventually get ourselves into Shenandoah Park, and then we're going to look for the Knob Mtn Trail and hike up to the summit of Knob Mountain. The elevation here is 875, and the summit of Knob Mountain is 2,800 and something, so got quite a climb. So let's get started. Half mile into my hike, I'm up to 980 feet elevation, and here's the park boundary. Right here, and that signpost is telling me that the trail I'm looking for is another mile up this way. There's where I came from. There's a pretty steep climb right here before you get to the boundary. If you miss the trail turnoff, because it's not marked, if you miss the trail turnoff, you'll end up down there in that valley at somebody's farm. So when you get to a place where you have to make some decisions, just head on, keep going straight, and you'll find yourself coming straight up the side of the mountain here. So let's keep on climbing. One 1.3 miles into my hike. It's been fairly flat. The elevation here is 1,030 feet. And here's my first crossing at Jeremy Run. Here's part of it here. There's another section over there. But anyway, this section's pretty dry, low flow. Here's where I came from. Just an old road. When they formed the park, of course, they chained it off, so now it's a horse trail and hiking trail. So I'm going to cross Jeremy's Run. I think there's two pieces of it here to cross, and then I'm going to start looking for the turnoff to Knob Mountain. One 1.4 miles into my hike. It's just a short ways after crossing Jeremy Run that you'll see this on the left. That's where I came from crossing Jeremy's Run. You come up here, and we're going to turn left. This is the Knob Mtn Trail, which looks like I'm going to have to turn right back around and go back over Jeremy Run again. In some of my other hiking videos, I've hiked way up here, about halfway up to the top of the mountain along Jeremy's Run. This is a pretty nice hike. So if you're interested in, and there's some camping opportunities up that way too. But I've never hiked this trail. This is looks pretty steep from the map. So I'm going to turn left here and head on up to the summit of Knob Mountain. .6 miles into my hike, I'm up to 1140, and just thought I'd point out there's a spring here. Here's where it comes out of the side of the mountain right there. I'll mark it on the GPS. .1 miles into my hike, I'm up to 2,030 feet. There's a little campsite right here. I'm sitting on a log taking a rest. It's a pretty steep climb. Over that way is the canyon that takes you down to Jeremy's Run, and the trail's over that way just a little ways. Through the trees there, that's looking to the west, down into the Shenandoah Valley. So I'm going to sit here for a minute and then keep on climbing the mountain. I've got to get up to about, I forgot, either 26 or 2,800 feet. I got either 600 or 800 more feet to climb. .9 miles into my hike, I'm up to 2550 elevation, and finally got up on the ridge line. There's where I came from, and there's the ridge line going up that way towards the summit, and I'm going to continue on this way. It's about another 0.6 of a mile up to the summit. .8 miles into my hike, and this is the summit, Knob Mountain summit. The elevation here is 2865, and there's where I came from, and there's a little bit of a clearing right here, but back behind there, on the way up here, I walked past a larger cleared out camp area, so I'm going to go back there and set up my hammock. That's looking over to the west. You can continue hiking to the north this way, and by taking a cutoff trail down here a couple miles, you can head back over this way to the east and get back over to Skyline Drive, which is way over there somewhere. So here's the summit. Kind of unusual. They put a signpost here at the summit, but anyway, there it is. I'm going to backtrack back here about 50 yards and go over this way and relax at this camping area. I'll show it to you when I get there. Okay, found a little cleared off area here to hang up my hammock. I got it pretty low to the ground. I'm going to use it as a chair, eat some lunch, and then maybe lay in it for a while. Right up there, about 50 yards or so, is the summit that I showed you earlier. There's another cleared out spot over there, but it's not as cleared out as this. So I came down here a little bit further and set up here. This looks like a nice cleared out spot here. So lunchtime. Okay, well, here I am in the hammock. This is nice. Up on top of Knob Mountain at 3,800 feet. Here's my little cleared off area here where I got my hammock set up. Over that way is looking to the west. The trail's over on this side. Can't see it from here, but it's over there somewhere. So, I'm gonna relax. The leaves are starting to turn up here. Actually, once I got above about 2,500 feet or so, I noticed the trail was covered with leaves. So, maybe you can see over that way a little bit of color. A little bit of color over that way. I can hear nuts falling out of the trees and hitting everything. We got nuts coming off the trees. You got the leaves starting to come down. Won't be long before winter will be here. Another couple months. So anyway, already had lunch. I'm gonna lay here and just relax in the hammock for a little while, and then I'm gonna have to head back down. It's about 4 miles back to my car, I guess. This is a map of today's hike. There was 2 quadrangle maps pasted together. On the west side over here is Luray, 1994. That takes you over to this line right here. And then east of there is Thornton Gap, 1994. And I hiked the Knob Mtn Trail up the west side of the Blue Ridge. It's hard to see, but this road coming down through here is Route 661. This is about 3 miles south of Rileyville, Virginia, which is off of Route 340. If you go to Front Royal and head south on Route 340, about 15 miles, and then turn off, you can end up here. This is Jeremy Run down through here, which drains off of the west side of Shenandoah National Park. And right here there's a bridge across Jeremy Run. And right before the bridge, right here, you can pull off. There's no parking lot here, but you can pull off on the side of the road. You have to be careful though, because it's a steep pull off. But anyway, you can park there, day parking. And then from here over to here is on private property. This red line here is the park boundary. So what you do is you park here and you cross the road, and then you just start hiking east along this. This is just an old road. Now when you get to about here, you have to veer off to the left and start heading up a hill. And then when you get to here, this will be the park boundary. So then you just continue on. Eventually, you'll drop down off this hill and you'll find yourself back on the old dirt road. So you just keep hiking into the park. Eventually, you'll come down and you'll be hiking right next to Jeremy Run. And eventually, right here, you'll actually cross Jeremy Run. When you get to here, this is the turnoff for Knob Mountain. This turnoff here is for Knob Mountain. If you continue on up, there's a turnoff right here, which takes you south to, I think this is Neighbor Mountain here. And you can also continue to travel on up Jeremy's Run for miles and miles, all the way up to Skyline Drive. So you turn left here, cross back over Jeremy Run, and then start hiking up this Knob Mtn Trail. Right here there is a spring, water coming out of the side of the mountain. You just continue to follow the trail. It's blazed yellow. Now you'll notice in through here the contour lines are a little bit further apart, which means it's flatter here. And I just noticed, I didn't take pictures of it, but I noticed that this area right here seemed to be a pretty good spot for a campsite. But there's no water there though. So continue on up the mountain. When you get to this sharp bend here, there's an established campsite there, which is a pretty nice campsite. Again, no water though. Continue on up. It's a twisty turny trail with a lot of switchbacks because it's a pretty steep trail. Eventually, when you get up into this area, you'll be actually up on the spine of the mountain here, up on the ridge line, and you'll just continue to follow the ridge line all the way up to here, to the summit. Now just before you get to the summit, on the left, you'll notice there's a campsite there. And that's where I stopped for lunch and set up my hammock. Now you can continue to the north along this trail, and eventually from here you have to hike north about another 2 miles or so, and then you can head east and cross Jeremy Run way up here in the park, and then you'll find yourself all the way over to Skyline Drive. So then from here I basically just turned around and came right back the way I came. It was a lot easier going down than it was going up. All the way back to my car over here. This was a good hike. For me, it was a bit strenuous on account of the ascent. The ascent was 2394, and it ended up being about a 9.5 mile hike. So, but it's family friendly. Almost all of it is on old roads in the park. So, and in a couple of more, the leaves are when you get up into the higher elevations up in here, let's say above 2,000 feet, the leaves are definitely starting to turn, and the trail up there is covered with leaves now. So over the next couple of weeks, there's going to be quite a bit of leafage falling off the trees now up there. So I would say in another month, if you take hikes like this, you'll have some pretty good views. There's hardly any views at all to the east or the west on account of the leaves still being on the trees, but that's going to change very quickly. And that was the hike for today.